So I'm here with Gabby Giannuzzi-Paul, and we are doing our last session today in our Digital Summer Clinic Spotlight, and it's our company spotlight. Now, just to remind people what the Digital Summer Clinic is, it's we put 48 interns in with 24 companies, and they work for 9 weeks. And we do this every summer. It's put on by the Center for Digital Engagement, which is part of Eastern Michigan University in conjunction with the Ann Arbor Spark. We take students from all over. So this past year, we were roughly half EMU students, half students from other institutions. And what we've been talking about today is what was the intern experience, what is the mentor experience. So we put those 48 interns in with 24 companies. We have people who meet with those students and kind of help them through. And so today, with advice, not doing the work, just advising students. And then today, for this session, we're going to talk with two of our companies. And so, Gabby, who are the companies?
Well, we've got Tom from Phoenix Performance Partners and Jessica from Pocketnest.
Now, I see they both have the last name of Willis. What's that all about?
They happen to be a married couple.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, that should be fun to hear about. And so I'll let you three take it away.
Okay, before we dive into the questions, I do just want to point out that we're taking comments and the questions below the video. Go ahead and get those started whenever you want, and we'll take them at the end. So my first question is actually for Tom. Phoenix Performance Partners, you say that you help superintendents and CEOs by improving workplace culture. So I wanted to know how you kind of came up with the idea for Phoenix Performance Partners, and also maybe get a little bit more depth on what it is you do.
Yeah, sure. Happy to do that, Gabby. So my background is actually in school systems. I was a school superintendent at a pretty young age, 34, and frankly, didn't really know what I was doing for at least a couple of years. And I realized that, that culture is the ultimate tool. That as leaders, the most powerful tool we have is to shape really good cultures where people thrive, where people are excited to come to work. And when you can do that really well, then the organization can grow, people can grow, and you can continue to get better. And we were quite good at it. We weren't perfect by any means, but we were quite good at that. And I was looking for a way to help more schools, help more nonprofits, help more other organizations, because frankly, it doesn't matter what organization you're in. The culture, as we like to say, eats everything. Peter Drucker said that culture eats strategy for breakfast. We actually think that much bigger than that. We think that culture eats everything. And so right now we work really across the country. We've had clients as far as Europe and Alaska, and a handful of clients here in Michigan where we live.
All right, cool, very nice. So Jessica, I have a similar first question for you. What was your inspiration for starting Pocketnest? And tell us a little bit about what you do there.
Yeah, so I'm the CEO and founder at Pocketnest. So at Pocketnest, we do financial planning, comprehensive financial planning, which is more in depth than what we think a lot of the other fintech tools out there do. And by the way, we license our software to financial institutions, so banks and credit unions and advisors, to really help them engage with their next generation. The inspiration for me in starting Pocketnest was the way our financial industry is you need a ton of money to get really great independent advice. And so my entire career has been serving the wealthy and the ultra wealthy. But at the end of the day, it was my friends, my peers coming to me saying, hey, can you take us through that same process that you're doing for your clients? And I just kept hearing the same questions over and over and over. And it was questions that I would come home to Tom, my husband, saying, this is amazing to me. This isn't rocket science. This is stuff that everybody should know. And his response to me was always, well, to some people, it does feel like that. And so what I realized was that I had a way of boiling this down very easily and very digestible. And so I created the technology to do that.
That's really cool. It makes a lot of sense too for your inspiration to come from friends and family. So this question is for both of you. Obviously, we are still in the midst of a pandemic, and you both own a business. How has the pandemic changed your business dynamic and affected it?
We have a
Um,
lot
Sure.
more. We're having a lot more lunch together, Tom and I. So yeah, the working from home has obviously been a really big change. From a team standpoint, our team is of course my team is of course working remotely, but the pandemic has been pretty good for us from a business standpoint, because our software allows banks and credit unions to engage with their next generation through technology. There's been an increased demand for what we're doing, so we've had from a business standpoint, a pretty good few months.
Okay, same question for you, Tom. How has it impacted your business?
It's been interesting is a short answer. We went from having probably the best start of a year we could ever have to within about 48 hours losing several several prospects almost overnight. And so it was a bit fear-inducing, panic-inducing, but frankly, within about a week or so, my business partner and I realized that we just needed to keep doing what we were good at. We just needed to keep being of service and helping CEOs, and but doing it maybe in a little different format. And so ever since then, we've been doing quite well. Frankly, we've created a few new programs. We now have a CEO forum that's an invitation forum for certain CEOs to join other CEOs to learn from each other, to have not a typical CEO forum, for instance, where you bring in like an expert speaker and you sit back and listen. But this is one that literally allows CEOs to coach each other, to learn from each other, to grow together, and to improve together. And it's really resonated out there. So that's a brand new program. As an example, we're also now doing a whole program around creating inclusive cultures, which obviously is getting a lot of attention. And frankly, we realized that we've been doing that for almost 30 years. My business partner has been doing this work for about 30 years. I've been doing it for about 5 years. And really the thing that we're good at is creating inclusive cultures where people include each other's opinions, whether they agree or not. They listen to each other. And so we're now doing a whole program around diversity and equity and inclusion that's also really resonating out there. So, like everything else in life, you have to adjust to the changes. But in our case, it's been a great gift.
Yeah, it sounds like you've not just adjusted, you've completely adapted and come up with ways to make it work. So I'm going to transition into talking about the Digital Summer Clinic because that's what we're here for. So you guys had 2 interns for each of your companies. What work did the interns do for you? Let's start with Jessica again.
Sure. So we had 2 interns, David and Sasha. They were both fantastic. Sasha was hired from a marketing and design standpoint. So she supported us on design assets. She created a video for us. That was kind of her very large project. So she created a commercial. David was hired for a role of engineering support. So he helped the engineering team and the development team in creating, he actually prepared some software that got into code. And so it's out there. He was great.
Wow, that's really cool. Tom, same question for you.
Yeah, this is our first year, and we had 2 wonderful interns that jumped in with both feet, really excited about it, brought a lot of energy to the work, and we're doing pretty different things, so which was great. So they were able to complement each other. And one of the things that we wanted to do was make sure that this was a great experience for them. So we really spent a lot of time on their own growth, their own personal development, because that's what we do as a company. And so I think in doing that, we actually were able to kind of get the best out of them, because they were seeing this as a great contribution to their personal and professional development. And so it allowed them to jump even, further into the work. So we produced just a couple things to throw out there. We produced a brand new podcast called Culture Eats Everything. That was really their idea. We created a couple of videograms that are basically short snippets of those podcast interviews that we did via Zoom. And we're going to be starting to share those out on social media. We've now launched a social media calendar. So those are just a few of many examples of what they helped us to get into action around.
All right, great. It sounds like both sets of interns really did a lot for you guys, and they really got a lot of that as well. So I believe you both were part of the clinic last summer. Was it different this summer, harder this summer because everything was remote, or was it, were you able to adapt and overcome and make it even just the same?
I'll jump in because we did participate in prior years. This was Tom's first year. So we participated in the year before. It wasn't all that different. So the first time we worked with the interns in 2019, most of what we did was virtual. I met them once. We had 2 interns last year as well. I met both of them once for a cup of coffee. But beyond that, everything they did was virtual. And so this year it was the same.
All right, great, right? If it's already work from home, no need to change that.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we move on to audience questions, I just want to ask you guys, is there anything super exciting that you want to talk about that's happening in your company?
Go ahead, Tom. You start.
What isn't exciting? As my friend and fellow CEO says, that everything right now is pandemically perfect. Not to minimize, obviously, the significant impact this has had on many, many people's lives, all of our lives. But that, as leaders, we get to choose, is today going to be a good day, or am I going to complain about something today? And so we've really tried to take that optimistic mindset. So I mentioned several things that we've launched because of the pandemic and because of the interns helping us, from a podcast to brand new programs. I think the one thing I'm probably most excited about is our interchange program. It's the CEO forum that we're bringing together. Our first cohort sold out. We maxed out on that one. We're going to be launching the next one in February of 2021. And so I don't know if there's any CEOs out there that are interested in applying, but they could reach out to me and be happy to share a little bit more about that.
All right, great, Jessica. How about with Pocketnest?
Yeah. So running a startup is like living in dog years, where every week there's something to be excited about, and it goes really, really fast. So we do have quite a few things going on that we're excited about. We are now a full-time team of 4, so we brought in our 4th full-time hire. I think within the last month. She's been incredible. We are up to 8 enterprise customers, and that's been really exciting. And our product continues to get more and more robust. So just last week, Friday, actually, we did a new update that incorporates behavioral tendencies, psychology, and coaching to the app. And so, from a product standpoint, that's been something that we've wanted to get in there, and it all came together last month. So product's been really coming along.
Yeah, that's really exciting. Well, thanks again. I'm going to let Bed come in now and ask some audience questions.
Okay, great. Well, I'm going to start off with a question which Tom, you may have covered, but there's certainly no problem in making sure it's clear. It's from none other than our own Jamie Ward, who is another mentor in the clinic program. And she's asking, Tom, are you continuing the podcast that the interns developed? And Jessica, I have a similar question actually for you, but I'll let Tom answer first.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I am coachable, and Johnny, our intern that really pushed the podcast idea, kept pushing it to the point where now I'm convinced not only is it a good idea, but it's actually a lot of fun. So I've been trying to do one a week, and it only takes about a half an hour. And I reached out to CEO just last week in Chicago. I talked to another leader in London, England. We talked to our own Detroit legend, Amanda Luan, down at Bamboo. Just a what week is it? I don't know. I think that was last week also. We will continue to do that probably for the foreseeable, years to come, frankly, because it's a lot of fun.
And I think the intent of that question was to, kind of illustrate the lasting impact of the interns. And so, Jessica, my similar question for you is I know you have an intern that you started, one of our interns, none other than Sierra Haynes, who you started working with in 2019. And tell us a little bit about how that relationship has evolved, because I think you're actually still
Yeah.
doing things together.
Yeah, we're still working with Sierra. So she started with us, while she was still in school through this program, 2019, and she was doing the usual 10 hours a week, giving us really it was graphic design oriented, and she has grown, as we all do, over the last year. We've kept her on part-time, throwing projects her way. There'll be a couple of weeks that go by where we don't need anything, and then there's times that we're really using her help. And over the last couple of weeks, we've realized how much she has grown and how much she can help with. And so we've been picking up Sierra's work a lot lately. She is great, and it's fun to work with someone in these little chunks over a long period of time, because again, you can kind of see this growth, and to go from someone who's still in college to a year later being out in the workforce. You learn a lot of skills that first year, and Sierra's been a great part of our team.
Yeah, I know she worked for us too after
Yeah.
the clinic was over, and she developed our digital summer.clinic website and taught herself a lot of stuff as she did that. And then, I think I gave her a recommendation as she was going on to go to work at Quicken Loans, which is where I think she is full time now. Interestingly, a finance major who found her way into digital marketing, but frankly not so strange. That happens quite a bit. Um, our
Yeah.
next our next question is from Marisa Saliche, an EMU student, and she asks a question that I think a lot of interns would have in the back of their minds. Uh, what are the most valuable skills you look for in your interns?
I want to say coachable, but I know that's stealing Tom's words, so I won't. I love working. Our best interns, and by the way, every intern we've had has been incredible, have a desire to learn. They have curiosity, and it's that they have a desire to learn, and they've got curiosity, and so anything that comes their way, they're watching and trying to embrace fully.
Yeah, I definitely love that question. I'd probably add to this that that being coachable is one thing. Being open to growing, to being open to input. As opposed to defending yourself or not wanting to let that in, can be certainly a challenge. On the flip side, but the big one for me, I think, is sort of this entrepreneurial nature, which we talk a lot about. But what that really means to me is treating this like it's your own company, treating this like you really care, like it's your own company, which means being passionate about whatever it is that you're doing. I had lots of jobs growing up, but I wasn't always passionate about them. And obviously that has a huge impact on the work. But the other one is component of being entrepreneurial is that you care so much that you're always looking for new ways to improve things. You don't just accept your to-do list. You actually go out and generate new ideas. Which again, I have to give my interns credit for. They were always pushing me to consider new ideas, and we didn't do all of them, but we did quite a few of them.
One thing that I would throw into this, and I mentioned this in our previous talks earlier today, we have a matching process where we go out and we look for interns and we look for companies. And one of the things we really look for in companies is, are these managers who can make the good use of resources? And I think what both of you have demonstrated here is you have figured out how to work with your people and get value out of them to advance the cause forward. Tom, you brought it up explicitly. What can we do to develop the people? But Jessica, you kind of bring it up implicitly by saying, every intern we've worked with is great. Now I have some people sometimes we put interns with, and every intern is bad. Okay, even others who were good with other people. And so I think that attitude is really critical. And, we appreciate that you bring it to the table and have stuck with us because we know we're not always perfect. And we appreciate that you're willing to work with our imperfections and make something good of it.
That's great. Thanks, Bud. Thanks.
Yeah, it's a really hard thing to do, but I mean, you're trying to match worlds really, really quickly, and so you're never going to have 100%. What matters is that people are committed to working it out and trying to figure out how to make the most of it.
Right.
Okay, well, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to add, I would tell any future company out there, and I've told friends who I've connected with the clinic that this is one of those, you get out what you put in. So, I think what's worked really well for us is we did, as a team, Pocketnest did some really heavy lifting on the front end to describe exactly, what we needed. It wasn't like, yeah, we'll take any free intern and we'll figure it out from there. I mean, we worked our tails off to make sure that we had that description. We knew exactly what we wanted to fill. And so I think, and I know you did that too, Tom, I think that's great interns is because our team did a lot of work on the front end to help you guys find exactly what we were looking for.
I think what you guys just said is great, to incorporate into all aspects of your life, especially work and business. I just wanted to thank you again for being here. You guys have been so easy to talk to. It's really been great. I want to remind the audience that in November, we're doing the digital marketing workshop. If you want to learn more about that, visit thedigitalmarketingworkshop.com. Also, next week, we'll be continuing our Facebook Live series called Digital Live. So tune in next Wednesday at 5 p.m. And that's it for me. Everyone have a good one.
All right.
Thanks,
Bye.
Gabby.
Thanks.
Thanks, Bud.
Thanks for having us. Bye-bye.
Bye.